Probably good. That's not.
Will you jiggle the wall in the wall?
What's in?
I don't know, because the rest of them are lighting up. Yeah, these are lighting up. I haven't touched this. They've been leaving it, township has been leaving it on.
But it's powered on right now. I still
Yeah.
always. Now it's flashing. They were just. Hello? Oh, maybe this picking up.
It's flashing over here, or it's picking up over here.
It's not picking up here. Is that picking up there? No, that one there. This one is. So it's the same thing as before. It's between here and here. Yes.
Are those tight?
These are HDMI. See this? I don't know what this goes to. That's an HDMI cord. These are connected by Cat 5 cables. That's two different things. They're not. This one here and this one here is running whatever's in the front up here. Whatever that cord is. But that's not this. That is these. They're lit
They're
up.
lit up. I don't know what's going on.
Well,
Are we in Ashland out of town?
no, they're here. We're supposed to be here. Here, I'll just go over here then. I don't know. Well, sorry who's ever.
I can't go down there next to you.
Well, now this one's just constantly on red. It is working. I don't know. Well, assuming this is working online, that just turns it off. Can you touch that? I don't know.
Oh, no, mine's constantly on.
Who knows? All right. Anyway, March 27th, this is the Almont Heritage Fest volunteer meeting. Due to spring break, really nobody is here. It's just myself and Angela. So we had some technical difficulties with the mics, but we're just going to move forward with this. There's not much to share other than what you said. You had a couple things for the good of the group.
Well, the things that we have to talk about, we need more than just me and you here, because we need to decide the raffle. Stuff, and that's
Yeah, the raffle on the golf cart or the side-by-side. We're going to have to put that off. All right.
I don't think we can really make any.
We don't have enough people to make decisions. I know Melissa just texted she's running behind. But that's three of us.
Someone's pulling up right now, but I don't know if they're coming in here or not.
Well, here, I think that's Melissa's cheat, but let's just go over a couple things that I know that we've kind of chatted through is slight change to where the entertainment tent's going to be. That's going to be between Van Dyke and Bristol on St. Clair, slid down more towards where the large power block is. The conversation that we had was if we have that there and then incorporate the pocket park, now we have a much bigger area. If we do have to contain it with the whole social district concept, we now can contain it and use the entrance to the pocket park as kind of the entrance to the venue. So that does help. You might as well sit there because nothing is working past. Yeah, I got lights there. I tried. I don't. Well, after this is done, I'll mess around with it a little bit more.
Is
But
it just us?
It's just us. We're
Not
live.
for our meeting tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So for tonight's meeting, Steve should be here. Ashlyn should be here. So we'll at least have a quorum.
I
to do
thought
the
that
meeting.
was Lean's car.
Oh, yeah. Maybe they're out there. I don't know. So we're just kind of going over. A couple things. Wayne and I met, kind of walked the area, talked about parking, talked about complexities. The first thing we talked about was where to put the entertainment tent. Still on St. Clair, but we have slid it down more towards the Van Dyke, so kind of in the middle. So basically right at the edge of the driveway going into where Roots is, heading towards Van Dyke. Couple reasons. A, that's where the power supply is. And if we by chance set up the band facing towards the building, even if we don't, now we can utilize the park, all the picnic tables. If we do have to fence it all off as a temporary fencing, then we can now incorporate the building in there and everything.
Or the band facing Van Dyke.
Or
That would be cool too. But the only thing I would like to be on the same page about is barricades there.
Correct.
I want like cement ones,
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to get
not
some
just like
right,
the ones people can drive right through.
right. So we'll have to,
Yeah.
yeah. So we'll have to look at getting some of those. Maybe either DPW has a way to get some. I know Thoit down there has some. I mean, we'd have to get those delivered and set up, but we could definitely do that. At least on the road, if we've got to get show cars around it, we can just use the parking lot for the pastry shop. But at least if they're on Van Dyke or on St. Clair, nobody's turning in there for those days. That's a good safety thought process.
Is that going to handicap us in how many people we can have though, and limit not being able to go down that street and use that parking lot?
We're gonna be limited anyway. They can either now come in off a Mill or any of the other ones. They can still get through Bristol to get to the
I
parking
was
lots.
asking like for the parking for the cars.
Oh,
Because before we usually used that side street for parking or whatever, for parking the actual classic cars or, and then using the parking lot for the church, because if we have a tent there, it's gonna block kind of where the cars are at, so would we still be using that church parking lot for cars?
that's probably gonna be where the overflow of cars are gonna go. So the thought with having the tent there is now that turns into our kind of command center. We could do awards from there. In between that and the road, maybe we have a couple. If he can get the Formula One car and everything, maybe that's where we have some of those specialty cars there. If not, maybe we have a cornhole tournament there. Yes, it's going to be kind of in the middle, but the nice part is if we use that as a command center, now when we go to do the awards and everybody's like surrounding us, we can be up on stage. We'll have a microphone there. People can now sit and being with the social district, grab a drink, grab something to eat, and now mill around there. The whole goal is maybe they'll stick around for a little while.
Yeah.
It does shoehorn, but back when we used East St. Clair, it was the first part that got filled up anyway. So really within the first 15 minutes of us doing the car show, it was blocked regardless. So we'll have to do a workaround with it. If everybody's good with that, I think it makes sense, especially tying in. Now we get to use the pocket park. We can use some of the buildings to diffuse some of the noise of the band. If we're pointing them towards either the building or towards Van Dyke, the only caveat is that standalone house. So that's the only, but there's not much we can do about that. We will allow her to park in the church parking lot, not during show
I think
time.
that's where she usually parks anyways.
She does. We haven't forced that parking issue, but she won't be able to get in and out of the driveway. We're gonna have to make sure that they know that. You know what I mean?
So then she would have to park in the church parking lot because there's no way for her to get out.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
For 2 days,
Yeah.
maybe more. I'll have to make sure the tent can come down Sunday morning.
Worst comes to worst is if we have to pull down one of the sides, there might be a way to get through. I don't know. Depends on where we set
the
up the
stakes are.
stages. Yeah. But she uses that all the time for her own overflow.
Yeah, I know.
So
Something I was just gonna say when you, could you come up with you and Wayne, some map that shows me your vision? I know where the beer tent is, but like where you think car parking is gonna be so that I can plan everything else around that. Because I was thinking we could use the side street by Dollar General. There's no, at least the west portion of it, because there's no houses.
correct.
And Dollar General has the other driveway. If we want West St. Clair for cars, we could use vendors there, and we could use Mill Street or Washington. Washington has more houses though, so that would be tricky for vendors.
We thought of Mill is the one just south of the Historical Society, right? And that runs across. So I think the thought was if we used Mill, they can come from the outsides and start lining up in that area. You know what I mean? So that way
For cars?
no, for the vendors.
I'm fine with Mill for vendors. The only thing is if you cut off Mill Street and you cut off East St. Clair, I'm just worried about late registrants there's going to be no way to get them in. So if we're going to do registration on research or at the schools, that's fine. But at some point, there's going to be a cutoff to that, right? Because there's not going to be any way for them to get into town.
So if they did, they would have to kind of do what they did last year, just fill in after the fact. And that's one thing we talked about is the complexity of doing registration not downtown. Is if we do it offsite, how do we handle that per timing? And that I think that's going to take more than just me and Wayne looking at logistics. That's got to be, because you got to figure if we do that, remember the amount of influx of people that were there. That was a big number. Like we're going to need like 10 or 12 people down there registering cars with the amount of people coming in. It's not going to be onesie twosies. If we do that, and then how do we move all that infrastructure down to
Can
where
we do
we're
it
at?
at the park then?
Which park?
Our park.
Can, but now we're talking dirt.
Oh yeah, they're not going to drive on that.
So I guess if we did this, what if we kept registration downtown and don't register any of the cars at research, but ask them to line up there? I just don't know.
I don't know how that's going to
I
work.
don't know how that's going to work either.
I think we should just keep it at research and have them come down.
I just think if there's my thought process was if there's a centralized meeting point that is not downtown, we are going to be able to control the parking situation better than cars coming out of every which
Direction.
side
Yeah.
street and then getting frustrated that there's a beer tent in East St. Clair and they can't get through, and there's vendors on Mill Street and they can't get through. If we have a centralized offsite location, I feel like we can give them one way
Yeah,
to get in.
because everything else is gonna be blacked out. I think that's better. I mean,
I know it's going to be a pain in the butt that day, but I think it's going to make the physical parking go much smoother than we have people every direction is telling them to go somewhere else. And
I don't disagree with you. I know Wayne's thought process from the car side. It's like anything nowadays. You got to think for people. Sadly, you do. And it adds confusion because a lot of these people have been coming here for years. They just think they're going downtown. I like the idea of having an offsite. It's just a matter of trying to do the registration and all that paperwork down there and then move whatever we have to down to where we're at. It's going to be difficult.
What are we gonna move, what are we moving down to where we're at? What stuff is that exactly?
Well, it's the ward books. It's because you got to remember when you're registering, you're placing them in classes and all that process. So there was a lot of action at that registration tent before.
Then we can do, I mean, maybe we can figure out a system where when they line up on research, we give them, I don't know, where we take half of something and they take like a ticket, and then you come and register once you're parked, because we park them first anyways before they register. I don't care if we do registration, physical registration downtown. I think
that's the hang up with Wayne is.
But I
the
think we
physical.
have to have one location off-site where they line up, because parking, and no fault to anybody that was parking, but there were too many people trying to park, people and cars coming from too many different directions. We had them coming from all directions. And there was just no way to handle it smoothly.
I don't know.
Another issue is making sure that they're paying, because if we are counting on them to come and register after they park and give us their money, then we run into the problem of last year where 75p cars didn't give us money or whatever.
I don't.
We're gonna have to talk through this a little more.
The hard part is with Wayne, and again, the car show thought process is, yes, they didn't register, which means that we didn't give them goodie bags and we didn't have to grade them. It does boost up the numbers for the show to add more attendance, right? So it's a double-edged sword, and that's a car show mentality. He's got to talk through that, right? I'm right there with you. The hard part is my thought is if they're in an area with a car, they should be paying something because they are taking up spots. So, and they're taking up effort to be there. So I think we need I think maybe a separate just off-site meeting where we look at a map and we devise how they're going to pull through there. I get it. We can't have them come in every direction. At the very most, it would be up Van Dyke or down Van Dyke. There is no more side streets. We can't do that, right?
And there's nowhere to meet off-site south.
Correct. I wish there was,
I
but there's
mean,
not.
Blake's is dirt. They're
Correct.
not gonna go in there. Maybe Choice One would let us,
It's not big
but it's
enough
not
for
big
anything.
enough.
We need
Research
either-
Drive just works perfectly because they can literally line up and
Correct.
drive out, and none of those businesses will be affected.
No. And they could parade down, which is kind of the idea of them anyway, parading down, right? It's just a matter of the logistics of lining them up without clogging everything up. So-
Unless a place that was south or something where we
could
could have like two.
we could have a
we could
north
have
and
two
south,
spots,
yeah.
like,
Correct.
and
Now, here's the other thing. I mean, we do shut Van Dyke down at Huff Road. We could line them up just on Van Dyke south of town, single file. I mean, that
yeah,
is
but
an option.
how would we get them registered? And that would you just have?
You'd have to do what you were talking about before, give them a ticket with a number and then have them bring it up to register their car. I wouldn't do it in line, but that would just be,
Well, or we would have a list of, are you pre-registered or registered? If all the people were pre-registered, if you're pre-registered, okay, you're good. Here's your ticket or whatever, or not even need a ticket, but if you're not pre-registered, then give us your money now. Here's your ticket and go register.
And actually, we could have the forms that we have them fill out, hand them to them when they come in to line up, and while they're sitting there in the line, fill it out instead of having to fill it out at registration. They just hand it in.
So what do we do if they come from northbound?
Oh, I'm saying we're gonna have 2 spots.
Yeah,
Right.
research and then south.
So research would be north and south would be south. I mean, and then you're gonna start them at Main at East St. Clair, and then you're just gonna work them this way.
Yeah.
That's an idea.
I mean, it's like where the road is actually shut down, you just have somebody standing there. Okay, have you already registered your car? No. okay, well, it's $20, like collecting the fee right there. Here is a slip for you and a ticket. Once you park your car, you can fill that out and hand it in.
Do that.
And if you're pre-registered, or if you're already registered, then we don't need to worry about that.
Right.
We'll just check them off the list.
Yeah. We could set up a table. I mean, once the road shut, the hard part that we have is the ones that show up there at 5 o'clock in the morning, and we don't even shut the road down till 7, right? So those are the tough ones that are being parking lots that we have to get. They're going to have to get the word out and say, if you come early, you can't be here, right?
Mhm.
They're going to have to be somewhere else. And that's a car show conversation,
Mhm.
right? The car guys should be, my 2 cents is the car guys or whoever's involved in that crew should be parking the cars. Registration should be registering them. The logistics between that is where we got to do that delicate dance.
I mean, either way, if it's off-site and all those things that need to come down, we have golf carts, we can load them up and bring it back down there. It's
Yeah.
not, I mean, we have enough time from when people come in too, when we actually do the awards to get all that back. That shouldn't be an issue as long as it isn't unappealing to people who are participating and they don't want to come back next year, because I don't want it to make it where they're like, oh, it was such a hassle and like we had to go down these dirt roads, and I don't want anything like that. So
that's the thing. We got to park 500 cars, make it smooth, get everything registered.
Where are we gonna put 500 cars?
We did walk it. If we park the cars back in the church parking lot, plus now West St. Clair, parts of East St. Clair, south of town, we should be very, very close to and utilize what we did last year, right? I think what we have to do is confirm, is Speedy Q having their cars there? If it is, yes, let's do it there. State Farm offered to have us park. I'm sure Michelle will be fine with that for this year. Other than that, I mean, we could take cars single file up to the bank if we had to. So there are some other areas we can go. You mentioned, maybe taking part of the area over by Dollar General, which we could do.
Yeah,
mean,
but
nobody's-
I need that for like vendors or something. If
It
we're
could
still
be.
having vendors,
So if we, if we still have vendors.
what's up with that? I thought we were talking about maybe not doing vendors.
I would love to not do vendors.
What's the push for the other vendors?
The car show guys' wives like them.
Yeah. So I talked to a guy today that specifically makes old school car, like Buick, Oldsmobile. This is what he does. So I did talk to him today. He's probably going to register as a vendor. To me, that's a draw for that. That makes sense. And he commented, when you go to the car shows, it's nice to have stuff for the spouses, but you need stuff. You don't need to turn into a flea market, right? We need more quality type things that are going to attract those type of attentions.
Well, that's hard though.
I know.
Because people aren't gonna put I sell junk. They're gonna on their form.
Working on their next year when they come, if they have junk,
Make no
next year.
Well, yeah, you know what you're getting from before, but the other thing is you increase the prices. $20 for a 10 is nothing. 50, 60, you're going to think twice on whether you're type of.
Yeah, I think we should increase the
Right.
price. Did we already hand those out yet?
No. So what he was saying is, he goes, I have no problem paying $50, $75 if there's going to be 400 cars there.
Yeah.
He goes, that's my market. He goes, $20 to me is actually too cheap because that's what you get.
Yeah.
He's like, so if you increase the price, it's going to scare away those that don't have quality. And if we can get away with 10 tens versus 20, and it's more quality stuff that people are really just willing to spend the money on, to me, maybe that's more worth it. I mean, other than the spaces, which if we do 10 spaces at $20 a piece, that's $200. We could put that many cars in those spaces and make the same kind of money.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, that's true.
right.
If they're going to be taking up spots that we can be potentially putting cars, then we should be making money off of them, not the same amount. And what are the cars paying now? Are we going to 25?
20 and 25.
So if they're paying $25 to come in, they're paying more than what the vendors are giving us.
So vendors pay 25 and 50 currently.
Oh,
So it would be
Okay. But it's
50
25 for a 10 by 10 and 25 for a 10 by 20, right?
Right.
So, and that's what I mean. We might need to increase that to get And if we just have some quality that's there, then we got some quality that's there. And if we don't have that many, now we're not worried about too much space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
So, but going back to it, I think what we need to do, not in this format, because there's going to be a lot of back and forth on the parking, the map, and hammering that out.
Yeah.
I think that meeting might require alcohol. Just saying.
Deal.
Yeah.
I'm sold.
Because it's gonna be a lot of back and forth. I mean, it's, we're at the scale now. We're busting at the seams last year.
I think we're all coming at it from different perspectives
Correct.
too. So we're gonna have to just talk through it.
And that's good. We need the different
No,
perspectives.
yes, it is
Yeah.
good, but I just mean like, it's good that we're all coming at it from different angles because we're gonna come up with the best solution. It's just gonna take some
Right.
figuring out.
But I think having that tent in that spot right by the power supply, to me, when he brought that up, because I originally said closer to the corner, he's like, why don't we have it here? Now we can utilize this whole area, and now it becomes basically like what we had last year. It's kind of somewhat enclosed. We can kind of control things. Because we're going to, even though if we have social district and they're allowed to sell the alcohol, we still have to limit how many people are going into the venue, right?
But so this is the only thing that I'm concerned about is if we have it there, blocking it off from East St. Clair from Kidder, so some car doesn't plow into the tent. And then Bristol Street, drunk people, we have to think about them and what they might do. But them walking around those streets, they're not going to be thinking first where a car might be coming at them down one of those streets. You know what I'm saying?
You talk about when we have the
If we have the
entertainment?
beer tent right there on East St. Clair, are we going to be blocking East St. Clair off at all
Yeah.
further down at Kidder during the night?
Oh, going down that way?
Yeah.
I don't know if I mean, think of it this way, right? Back where we had it before, people were walking to their cars all the way over to the church parking lot.
Yeah.
And we kept East St. Clair open,
Yeah.
right? So this time East St. Clair will be closed if we need to get more barricades right at Bristol. I think there's going to be enough room for the fact that, we're going to be 100 and some odd feet from either from Van Dyke or the other one
Okay.
where the tent's going to be.
Okay, so they'll just be able to go outside of the tent to smoke, or is that what we had outside the tent was smoking?
I don't even know. Did we call it smoking area last time? I think it just happened.
Okay.
But
I think it's just-
Porta John's is a good call.
So Porta Johns, we could put those all behind the tent, so they're covered by the tent. You know what I mean? So if we laid the tent up where the band is either facing Van Dyke or facing let's say facing Van Dyke, right? Now that back side of the tent will be all white, and maybe that's where we put all the Porta Johns there.
Yeah, or I don't know. I almost like the idea of the band facing the other way only because the lights from Van Dyke will be on the other side, so that will be lit up. And then if any cars coming towards on East St. Clair towards the Van Dyke, they'll be seeing the lights from the band and everybody, so that will be lit up too. But I mean, that's just me just being worried about people being like stupid. I mean, you have to think about people who ran over those cornhole boards like at 3:00 in the afternoon, like some old dude.
So if we put the band to the side where that house is and have it facing towards the pocket park, now the lights are flashing towards the building.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or towards Van Dyke. If it's lit up, is that corner lit up enough from Bristol and East St. Clair? I can't remember.
We've got street lights there. Is it lit up enough?
Yeah, like a good amount. Or
We'd have to go out at night, but we have street lights on both sides, and you have the lights at Van Dyke, the higher up stuff.
Right.
So
and we could probably we'll put we're gonna have some blockade stuff.
Well, and I was just saying, I think what we do is, were you around for the chili cook-off?
I was. But
She
I
was
wasn't-
cooking. Or she
I
That's
wasn't
right,
down
that's
with-
right, that's
yeah.
right. Well, what I meant was, were you walking, I knew you were there, but were you walking downtown at all?
Mhm.
So we now put up those signage on Van Dyke, DDA pedestrian event.
Mhm.
I think if we put those up on Van Dyke at the other corners,
Mhm.
so now that kind of gives awareness that something's going on, because people are gonna be walking around, right?
Mhm.
But I think if we put those north and southbound Van Dyke and on West St. Clair, it's at least gonna draw attention to say, pay attention.
Right.
Because people were noticing us slowing down. Actually, Mindy Steffler told me that she saw, because she drove into town from somewhere else, and she said coming into town, she noticed that people were slowing down when they were coming in. So
That's good. Okay.
yeah, and actually Wayne said the same thing. He came back from, I forgot where, and he was coming into town. He said the same thing. When they got it, saw the sign, people were noticing it.
Okay.
So, and maybe that's something, instead of closing off St. Clair going to Kidder, again, we just have some more signage down there so that way people are paying attention.
Okay.
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we're going to have one more of those signs because we had 4 of them done. If we can reuse them, great. But we can just put one a little bit further down.
Okay.
Okay. Good points.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff you got to think through. You know what I mean? But
All right.
yeah. But other than that, I think there's really not much else. One of the other conversations we need to have is, I don't know if there's enough here for, I mean, really, we're a committee, but we're not under quorum rules, right? So the question is, this year, we said we do want to do a raffle, so we did agree to that.
Yeah.
The question is do we want to do a golf cart again, or do we want to do a side-by-side?
I think Melissa was.
I like the side by side idea.
Okay.
She was in the conversation with
Yeah.
us.
That's right.
Yeah.
So again, if we went back to Miller's like we did before, it's going to be in that 9,500 to 10 grand range. If we look at that Kawasaki, it's in the 10 grand range. If we talk to Greenia's, the MSRP on their low end one was 11 change. Maybe they can get a deal because it'll be local. But I think what we need to do is just agree which direction we're going and then start getting pricing on it. Because this is something we're going to want to do now
Yeah.
to give us another
Time to
3
sell
months
it,
to
yeah.
sell the tickets.
So to not exceed $12,000.
I would think,
Do we have to make that motion during our meeting, our actual TDA meeting, or no?
I mean,
so it falls underneath Heritage
which
Festival,
we've already budgeted.
which we
for.
already budgeted out. Do we already have a line item for it? How much?
For, you want to give me a second and I'll go get our
Is it for Heritage
proposed-
Festival, or are you talking about for the cars, for the actual golf cart raffle?
The golf cart raffle, talking with Holly, she said we do have a line item for it for Heritage Festival. The big question is that just a DDA initiative or is it a Heritage Festival initiative? And she said it was a Heritage Fest, which means that we should have a line item for it. If we have a line item for it and we're already within that dollar amount, there's nothing we got to talk about.
Right, if it's, yeah, because I was gonna say, and we were talking about maybe working with the Lions Club, so it should be a separate line item then, I would think.
That's the
And for
complexity
the-
we're going to have to work through of, do we do our own raffle ticket this year or a raffle license?
Right.
Or do we have, who do we utilize?
Yeah.
Is it us? Is it Historical Society who did it last year? Or is it the Lions Club and we bring them in?
Yeah.
So Heritage Festival budget is $27,000.
We don't have to have a line item for the raffle.
No, we don't. It's not broken down. Heritage Festival and Car Show are the only 2 things that we have physical line items for.
Okay. Well, and I think the reason why that's that number, because last year that beverage tent or the entertainment tent was close to 17 total, if I recall, for expenses.
Can I tell you that in 22-23, the Heritage Festival revenues, let me make sure I'm on the right line item, was $250, and 23-24 was $31,270.
So the cost of the tent and the entertainment, what are we doing about that then?
So I have that written down, actually. I had an idea. Actually, it wasn't my idea. I was talking to a business owner and they had an idea. Whoever is going to be doing the beer in the beer tent, first of all, they would have to probably apply for a special license for sale off premises. But charge them a vendor fee of like $2,000, $2,500 to offset our cover charge fee, because it's going to be pretty hard to charge a cover charge. Like, if people aren't drinking, they're not going to come into the tent. They can still sit out there and, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be hard to charge a cover charge without it being fenced off.
Oh, we could fence this. We could still, the way we had it, we could still fence it to control it, to limit numbers in there for the show and do a cover charge just to get in for the show.
That's fine if we're still going to do a cover charge, but I still think whoever is going to be serving, we should have some kind of fee to offset,
Okay.
like our,
I mean, who's to say that
band
these
or-
people, if we have a social district up, then they could just go inside of Mikey's, get a drink in a cup and walk down to there and then sit there and drink in their
Mhm.
cup and not pay a cover charge. But also, what about, I mean, Mikey's is just gonna make money and there's no need for them to go down to our tent and buy the beer there. You know what I'm saying? So they could avoid vendors even having to be down there.
But it's going to be their
Yeah.
vendorship.
but I
So-
think they're the ones who want to serve out of the tent.
Yeah.
Correct. So it's going to, they'd just be robbing Peter to pay Paul,
Okay.
because it's going to be them anyway running it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I get where you're coming from,
Yeah.
but ultimately, so it's just going to be,
Yeah, I would think that we just don't do a cover charge then. I mean, do you think people are gonna pay the cover charge? They can walk around with drinks in their hand anyways outside of the tent?
well, we charged them a cover charge whether they were drinking or not last year, just to
Yeah.
come into the area.
Yeah, but they couldn't drink outside the tent that time.
Correct.
This time then they can. They don't need to be in that tent drinking.
No, they don't.
I'm not saying that people are gonna do that. I'm just saying that.
They are going to do that.
Yeah,
They are,
And that's
but,
fine. That's why we want
right.
it all centralized, but I think the cover charge last year, honestly, I'm glad we did it because it offset some of our costs, but it was a hassle. Like, Holly and I sat there for 8 hours on Friday and I mean, it was selling golf cart raffle tickets and collecting a cover charge. And then we had to run the whole thing all day Saturday. And it was, I couldn't stay there until midnight again Friday night and be efficient Saturday.
But the reasoning for that is because the Lions Club said they were going to do
And
our
then
cover charge, and then they backed out.
I know.
So,
Oh, I know why it
Right,
was,
right.
but I'm just saying, like, I don't know who we would get to do the cover charge. And I think wearing out the few people who are running everything on Saturday was not
I say
effective.
What if we did it where you're telling whoever's doing gonna be doing the alcohol, we'll say you sell that in the tent.
You don't get a wristband until you pay
Or-
your cover charge.
But we charge the bars money, like a vendor fee, and ask them not to sell. I mean, like, I would say discourage them from selling alcohol to people and having them walk down there, encouraging people to be in the tent, buying the alcohol, and then they get to like have Mikey's always has like one guy there, you know, at the door, or that one night when they had a special event.
Yeah.
Say they're collecting the cover charge, they get to split it. Whoever's ever doing the selling the alcohol, that will also offset their costs of what they're paying us to participate.
Or we charge them a vendor fee of whatever we want, whatever amount we want. I think we made like $3,000 last year on cover. So maybe we charge them that and we say,
cover was close to 5,000.
okay, well, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll charge them whatever. Say we're offsetting this, you guys are free to charge a cover charge to
Right.
make up for that, plus you get the drink sales.
Correct.
Then it takes us completely out of it. And if they want me to order koozies or whatever for their cover charge, I'll be happy to do that.
So what we need to do is including the cost for the bands and the production and the stage and the tent, all in, not the car show, but the tent, we need to get a firm idea of what that costs us to have that there, right?
It's like a lot.
It's a lot. So we had
I think it was
fundraising
like
before.
$17,000.
Right. So, and that's what the number I remember. It's like 17 grand. Now, as the DDA, we are here. It's okay for us to spend money to promote the area. We don't have to make money.
Community enrichment.
Correct. We don't, but on the other end, we don't need to lose money. So it's got to be a delicate give and take. We can get sponsorships like we had before. That's fine. But I think if we work through some of the logistics, and maybe that is so how many are going to be serving out of there? There's going to be 3, right? Maybe it's 1,000 each to do it, and then they could do their own cover.
I really don't know
I think
who else besides Mikey's, and I haven't, this is not me having conversations with the business owner, so this is just me speaking from my maybe ignorant opinion. I don't think anyone else would be up for that.
You don't think Chickies would want to do it?
Chicky, maybe. Chicky's the only other one who I could think of that may want.
You don't think Craig or Senior Victor's
I
about
think that they're going to be so slammed with people eating inside and already struggling to keep up. But I'll talk to them.
I think we talked to them to figure out how the logistics could work with that. Or do we do what like our Maid Affair does and bring a charity in and they get paid to work that evening? You know what I mean? So the proceeds still go to the whoever's supplying the alcohol, and then they get $1 a drink or something like that.
But I think at some point we're going to have, like, that's going to be on the people running it to figure out the logistics of it.
Right.
Because I've never, like, that was part of the beauty of the Lions Club, right?
It was.
They've
handled
done it. They can do it seamlessly. We didn't have to worry about any of that. There's too many components to this already, and we're already paying $17,000. Like that's going to have to be on them.
Yeah, I
to
think we need
figure
to
out how to
figure out how
run
many
it.
people are willing to do this, and then what is feasible, like how much we should
Right.
money that we need to get from
So let's find that out. Let's talk to the businesses, find out the feasibility of it. In what I read for social district, you can bring a charity in as a special permit for a night. If we had to go that route, we could still go that route.
The social district is just closed there.
According to that social district, it's a nonprofit. You're allowed in on a special license for the night. Right? No?
From what I understand, you would have to close off that portion from the social district. You wouldn't have to close the entire social district, but wherever there's a special permit in place, that would not be.
Well, then if that's the case, then we fence off the tent for the 2 evenings.
Right? I'm fine with that.
Right.
I'm just saying
Right.
that
But if we're going to
there's
do
going to
that,
be
Right.
complexities to this that there weren't before, so we just all have to be
Right.
aware of.
right?
that.
Well, I think first things first is talk to all 4 businesses that have a liquor license and ask them for doing the tent. This is where we're looking to do it. Do you want to be a part of that or not? Like, how do you want to be a part of that? And then we can go from there, right?
Yeah, I
And-
mean, how many people, if there is only one business that's involved, that wants to do it, like, let's just say Mikey's is the only one that says we're in. I mean, how's that gonna work? Or, I mean, if we had a charity come in and help out, then who's dealing with all the alcohol stuff?
They would have to deal with it. So basically what they would do is the charity would just serve so let's say do a flat rate of $5, right?
Yeah.
And you tell the charity, you're going to get $1 for every drink you sell. We're going to get the rest of it, right? Or whatever you work
Yeah.
out, however that works out. Then the charity is their labor for the evening.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That way, that business who's buying the alcohol, they make the profit on the alcohol and then do
Okay.
that donation. We're now out of it, right? So that gets us out of it, and they're handling that aspect. That makes sense.
Mhm.
So it does add some complexities, but
Yeah.
we can make it work. It just depends on who and what wants to work through it.
Okay.
Now, even if we do fence that off and we have the charity run it per se, or let one business run it, however that is, people could still get alcohol and walk into a business and walk out. It's still that whole special event is live for that weekend. So they are free to kind of mill around like they are been.
So we would have, if they bought something from the beer tent, a drink from the beer tent, we just a charity doing that, then they can't leave the beer tent with that drink. Okay.
If we do the charity one. So that's the complexity to it, but either way.
All right.
Sense. So for you,
It totally makes sense, and I'm excited about it. I'm just nervous about.
it's change. It's different.
Well, I mean,
We'll work through it.
I'm just no. I know. We'll work through it. My mind is just running on
Oh, I know.
how we're gonna work through it, and make it a good experience so people want to do it again.
Correct. And keeping it fair, keep it whatever. And maybe it's this year, maybe we rotate the business that does it. Maybe this year it's a Mikey's, then next year is a Senior Victor's. Maybe it's just a rotation thing. I don't know that answer. Or maybe it's 2 this year, 2 next year, just so it's not so complex instead of having 4 in there. But I think if we figure out who wants to be on board, and if all of them go back to staffing, then we might have to lean on, do we bring in the charity to act as labor?
Yeah.
So, and again, that's what they do at our Mater Fair. Mater Fair just, they buy all the alcohol directly. There's 2 semis that are there,
Yeah.
and then they get paid to be there. What's up, Steve? How you doing?
Good.
We're just talking through Heritage Fest. The hard part is we've been working on it. Nothing works going that direction. So there's only a couple of us here tonight. So we thought maybe we just all hunker down on this side.
So we're not gonna have a quorum tonight?
Yeah.
No, we will.
Oh.
We just don't have,
Exactly.
we just don't have, if we all sit here, nobody can hear us.
Oh.
If we all sit over here, everybody can hear us. Hi, Ashley.
Oh, okay.
Come on in.
There's the last of our quorum.
There's the last of our quorum.
Yeah.
I'll move everything down when we adjourn this.
Right.
Are we gonna try to fidget with the things like you did last time?
Keith
All right.
tried.
I already,
Why don't you sit here?
I already fidgeted it. I can fidget some more, but it is the same issue. It's from here going that
I'll
direction.
turn the camera to
Then
you so
sure
they
you-
can see us.
Yeah.
You're a rookie.
All right.
All right. So I think, why don't you pause the Heritage Fest
I'm
conversation?
the old man, so.
And then go from there.
Do you want me to move down one or no? You want to stay there, Angela?
Huh?
You gonna stay there?
It doesn't, I don't care where I stay, I was just gonna move everyone's stuff to them.
Oh.
I mean, mine is like spread out across the whole table, but I'll fix it.
Right.
Is the end one? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those are all turning red, right? When you talk or tap on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so
I don't know.
excited for you.
I'm like nerve sighted.
I have this for you.
It'll be all good.
Yeah.
I said, I'll play around with this some more, but. So this thing right here is me